What is guys? It's Bojinjin here. How's it going? So I try something different this time around. Show off my hacksaw elite hacking skills. Oh god, what century am I from again? How y'all doing? It's me again. Bringing you another, hopefully, conscious vlog, or a vlog that is steeped in consciousness, if that makes sense. I guess it does, but it's a very weird way of putting it. But yeah, anyway, today's entry, I have gone crazy now. The cold has gotten to me. It's so cold recently, and dark and wet and cold and miserable. But it's Christmas soon, and that's something to be festive about. But anyway, today's entry is actually an entry that I have been meaning to do for like a long time, right? My previous entry that I did last week, hopefully if it came out the week before this one, but is one that I recorded. At the time of recording, I recorded it quite a while ago, and I've not been as consistent with these vlog entries because, yeah, I've been doing other stuff, right? I've been doing a lot of music, right? So, yeah, my music channel, I've been streaming and, yeah, doing, working towards that and producing music as well. And, yeah, that's mainly what I've been doing, right? I haven't really even been doing any game stuff like that much recently. But yeah, I've been working as well, as in IRL working, So it's been a busy time for me, but I'm back, and this entry, I wanted to do like an uplifting entry. First and foremost, well, I say first and foremost, but it's part of what I've wanted to do for a long time. Occasionally, interspersing all of this entry, obviously, because it's one of my vlogs, is going to be very full of bullshit, not bullshit, but full of kind of logical, conceptual kind of explanations on my latest musings, right, or thoughts, but it just so happens that the subject matter of today's entry is hopefully, well, it is going to be a more uplifting message, right? So, I talk about love a lot on this channel, right? Love, specifically love for, love in the sense of doing what you love, right? Building a life that you love, right? And today I'm going to kind of talk about that very topic, which I will come back to, time and time again, because it's so important. It's what I am striving for, right, in my own life, and it's also my core message on this channel. If I were to have a core message kind of thing, right? I talk about it a lot on this channel, but if there was any one thing that was central to my message, it is to do what you love and to follow your heart and all of this corny shit, right? Because that's what I resonate with, and I hope that whoever's watching this, if you do watch me and follow me, then you probably resonate with that too. So, yeah, simply, life is hard. Life is hard. Do you really need a rando on the internet, a random Chinese guy, as I say, to tell you that? Probably not. Because you probably already know it, right? Life is kind of hard at times, not all the time. Sometimes life can be very lovely and beautiful and inspiring and all that stuff, right? And yeah, in those times, you don't need me to inspire you, right? You kind of are already doing what you love, and you're already feeling love as you're doing it. But sometimes love is hard, and sorry, life. I keep making this. Life is hard, and we all kind of need, like, we all kind of need someone to encourage us, to kind of keep going, really. Not necessarily someone else, right? But if you're watching this video, then hopefully that's what I'm providing. But like, you can kind of learn to do it yourself. You just have to kind of, like tap into your sensitivity, right? Tap into the wisdom that you gain from taking the high road, if you will, right? Because I've talked about this in a previous entry. I think the entry, I forget what the exact title was, but it was something along the lines of like, fight for love and embrace pain and fight for love, or something like that, right? Where I talk about how like it can be easy, and like I take a very obviously like rantish kind of a tone in that entry, like, people don't know, as I tend to do, but like really, it happens. It's just a human thing, right? It's like we tend to underestimate. We tend to underestimate the kind of hold that pain has on us. Like, and this is leading into what I'm going to talk about, which is like how like I talked about pain as well in a lot of previous entries, and pain and fear and negativity, darkness, and how like we're all consciously trying to get away from it. Like no kind of person in their right mind would tell you that they enjoy pain, right? And that they actively seek out to fill their life with as much pain and fear as possible. No one's going to tell you that. Rather, everyone's talks about pain in the sense of like, the implication is that we're all trying to get away from pain and to get to happiness, really, right? That's, if you ask anyone in their right minds, they would tell you, yeah, that's what they want, right? But in so doing, we kind of tend to underestimate like the focus around pain in our lives. And more controversially, I suppose, right, which is the point I was trying to get to, is like we can kind of not be conscious to how we are addicted to pain. And like, maybe that's the wrong word, right? Maybe addiction to pain is not really the right word, because it's not a conscious thing, right? It's rather, it's more of like a comfort type of a thing. So it's not a rational thing. It's like no one's going to say, oh yeah, I love pain. Yeah, I totally see that, like, the shit that I engage with in life, that's kind of like shooting myself in the foot and self-sabotaging, that's completely me, like, addicted to pain. It's like, no one's going to say that. No one's going to even want to admit to it. Like, I don't want to admit to that shit, right? But like, so it's not a like or dislike type of a thing. It's based on it's based on identity. It's based on like deserving, right? Do you deserve a good life? Not do you like or want a good life, or do you like or want a shit life? It's not a like or a want thing, right? It's not something that is based on choice. It's, do you feel that you belong, that you deserve a good life, or do you deserve a shitty life? To put it in frank and very politically incorrect terms, right? We all have to kind of dig within and find that side of us that feels undeserving of a good life, right? Yeah, I don't like that. It makes it ugly, but yeah. Again, it's dark because it's winter. It's only 3:48 right now, but I'm also disorganized, right? I always plan on coming out early, but this leads to that, But anyway, yeah. So we underestimate, like, kind of like our our comfort surrounding pain, let's just say, right? And we also overestimate our entitledness to love and a good life, right? You know, we kind of like, we don't realize really like just how much effort really, right, is one way of putting it, but like how much conscious involvement it takes from you, right, from us, from me, to actually lead a life that is good, right? And it's obviously, it's not one of these things that anyone wants to hear, right? It's not, you know, I don't want to hear it, right? You know, it's definitely not something that sounds nice and uplifting, right? What did I say at the beginning of this entry? Like, I'm going to make this an uplifting entry, but you know, because like, you know, we are, yeah, so these two things, right? And as such, you know, it can be kind of, it can be, when it goes good, it goes good, right? And when it goes good, it goes good, right? But like the thing is that, like, we all need that pick-me-up, right? We all need kind of that pick-me-up, sometimes, to kind of get us back onto the path of love, right? And not only that, but also, you know, like, it can kind of, we don't realize a lot of the times, right? Because a lot of, okay, I'm all over the place, right? Because I'm being distracted by things outside my window, but like, yeah, like, we obviously understand, right, you and I, that we are aiming to live a good life, right? You know, like, for whatever reason, right? And I say whatever reason, but we all know full well the reason, right? We kind of find ourselves kind of dissatisfied with life, you know, like when we have the awakening, then like we realize that like we did not choose the life that we ended up in. You know, whether it's you being on a path that you don't resonate with, or just like not knowing who you are and like feeling like you like what am I even doing here? Like, you know, what is this life? What am I doing wrong, right? You know, and like we all wake up to that as we go through the awakening process, right? Whether that be in the quarter-life crisis like myself, right, or like the midlife crisis or whatever, right? You know, we kind of, I hope this is, yeah, the other issue is that like it's kind of cold outside and in general, right? So like, like, you know, things just fogging up and stuff like that. But like, anyway, sorry about that. Yeah, like, and so like we set off on this journey, and like we kind of become a bit jaded. And by jaded I mean like not like pessimistic, but kind of like we kind of start to see that like the world, at first we're kind of like, we're kind of stressed out about how the world is, you know. We you know, we're like, we see other people who aren't fulfilled themselves, right? And like we see, like, as we emerge out of like our kind of little cell within the matrix, if you will, right? We look around and we see that society is fucked in the sense that like everyone's in the matrix, right? You know, that movie's a great analogy for this, right? Or a great metaphor. But like, yeah, and it's like initially we're like kind of like inundated by feelings of like, oh, what am I going to do about this? Like I feel like, I don't know, I maybe I feel like it's unfair that I'm doing this, or that like I really wish I could help other people. But eventually, like you realize that like it's down to you to make anything happen, right? And like and like when you really search your feelings, like, you know, you realize that you are on this path for a very selfish reason. I talked about like selfishness and narcissism in other entries, right? But like, yeah, I invite you to check that out if you haven't watched it. It's a very raw entry from me, but like, And like, then the reason we become like kind of a bit like jaded and like standoffish, because you get to the point where you're like, fuck everyone else, right? I'm doing what I'm doing, right? It's like, I'm tired of like trying to fit in with other people and trying to get them to, and trying to like cater to them, right? You know, because like, I've had enough, right? Like, a lot of what the world has to offer me, even if it's like on the surface what I should like, you know, it's music, so I should like it, you know, it's art, so I should like it, right? 1 second, give me a second, I'm gonna just hopefully, like, that's really bad. Again, apologies, like, I don't know why it's so dark. I think it's because, like, yeah, my camera's not good at picking up, like, darkness. I think it should be okay, like, honestly, yeah, anyway, I'm just gonna carry on. Yeah, and like, not only that, right, but you have, like, people in your life, like, telling you, like, they're either telling you to stop doing what you're doing, right, which is, like, you know, something, like, which sucks, right? Usually people don't do it in a direct way, but, like, you know, they'll kind of, like, express their fear, right, to you, right, or they will, like, or they'll suggest shit to you, right? It's like they see that you like music or art or like business, and they try to get, and they offer you, they try, you know, to be fair, they're just trying to help you, right? Whether it be family or friends, right? You know, they're trying to help you because they see that, like, you're not making any progress, or like it's hard and you're struggling, so they're trying to help you. But the thing is that, like, the stuff that they give you is so general that, like, it can't possibly cater to what you actually want, right? And so, like, faced with this, like, you kind of become, like, particularly if you're alone like me, right, you become a bit jaded. You become a bit like, fuck everyone, kind of a thing. Like, because no one else understands what I want, right? Only I understand that. So I'm going to just listen to myself and not listen to anyone else. Because, like, you know, it sucks because I know that a lot of people are trying to help me, and a lot of people, like, you know, yeah, a lot of people are trying just to be helpful to you, right? Or whatever, right? Or if they're trying to dissuade you, it's because they care about you, you know, that kind of thing. There is a part of them that is like that, right? Of course, there is another part that like kind of like might be jealous or envious, you know, and stuff like that. You know, of course that also exists, right? But, like, looking at the whole thing, right, it's kind of like a bit of a mix. But that stuff, coupled with the fact that it's just fucking hard, and, like, you know, and living life and trying to make your dreams reality and trying to build a life that you love, it can get really tough, right? So, from a fellow person on his journey to another, the first thing I want to say is, keep going. You know, you can do it. You can do it. If you can think to do something towards your dreams right now, right this instant, you know, you're thinking about making your music, or you're thinking about making your art, or you're thinking about planning your business, right? If you can even think that right now, even if like you know, you're full of resistance towards that thing, and you're full of fear as to, like, is it going to work out? Like, if you're even thinking about doing the thing that you care about or are passionate about, you will make it. Or rather, like, the most important thing, when you ask yourself this, what's the most important thing? Is it success? Kind of. Like, I'm not going to lie, that's what creates the inner, I might actually turn this on. I mean, I hate this light, but, like, you can see my face a bit more clearly, but yeah, like, that's what causes the feelings of doom and gloom and, you know, that kind of thing within us. It's because, like, when am I going to succeed? How am I going to succeed? You know, like, what is success? Like, what's going to come out of this? Like, you know, am I going to be doing this for the rest of my life? And it's like, yeah, you know, and in a sense, you are trying to succeed. We're all trying to succeed. You know, we're all trying to like get a following, to make a living, to create a legacy. We're all trying to do that. But towards that, what is the most important thing for you to do? It is to, I mean, there's a lot to this answer, but like the first step is to care. And you care, obviously, right? You wouldn't be on this journey otherwise. You know, when you think about all of the shit that you and I have to go through, right? Just to make something that you care about, right? It's like, who in their right fucking minds would want to do that? Because you have a society where, like, you can just get a job, right? And like, as long as you play it smart, you won't be poor necessarily. You know, you won't be like rich, but like if you play it smart, like you can live pretty comfortably. You know, pick a nice neighborhood to live in, get an okay job, right? Find a spouse that cares about you, right? Start a family. Like, I always, you know, like I would always kind of kick dirt on the whole like kind of middle class dream type of thing, but like, there's a reason why that shit exists, right? And actually something I wanted to talk about, which I guess I'll just tie in quickly here, right? I wanted to do a vlog entry about this, but like honestly, it's just what I think just a mention is enough for it. But like, yeah, I always kick dirt on it, but like honestly, if it's right for you, it's right for you. You know, it makes sense for a lot of people to do that. Like, you know, it makes sense, and like obviously to the disclaimer I want to say to this is like, if you know, I don't want this to be a discouragement to like whoever's watching this who is likely to be a light worker or someone who's on the heart-centered path. Like, no, like absolutely not, right? Like I guess I'm not talking to you right now. I'm talking as if I was talking to like you know, the average Joe, right? You know, they might look in, you know, the kind of the glass cage and see us struggling and be like, why would, you know, yeah, these guys, like, they talk a big talk, but like at the end of the day, like they struggle, and it's like, for those people, fair enough. You know, like you get a lot of benefits from being in the societal thing, right? The matrix, if you will, right? You know, you get like, you get stuff that's already thought through for you, right? A job, right? You don't have to think through that shit. Like, it's a company, and they make money, and they give you a cut of that money, you know, in exchange for your time and effort, you know, and your labor, basically, right? And you know, you like the stuff that is in the mainstream may not be very, very fulfilling, like from the perspective of like someone who is more specific about what they like, right? But you can talk about that shit. They can talk about that shit to anyone. You know, it's not as if like you have to find a needle in a haystack every time you want to find people who actually resonate with the kind of stuff that you like, right? So like, for the vast majority of people, I would say, the societal thing is fine, right? And like, who are we to judge them? But at the same time, like, we being who we are, right? We being who we are, you know, like, we put up with what we put up with, right? Which is like being alone a lot of the time, having a lot of people misunderstand us, not having any support really, like having to face like challenges and like the struggle of creativity, right? Because it's not easy to create, particularly if you're trying to do it consistently and you're having to stay alive and all this stuff, right? It's not easy, right? The reason we put up with that is because we care about what we do. And if you so much as care about what you're doing, then you'll be fine. Because that, even if you procrastinate, even if you're procrastinating right now, I know that you will do it eventually. Because I do this, right? It's like, eventually you will sit down and do something, right? And then maybe some time will pass and you'll do something else, right? And then at some point, you will start to get better at what you do. You know, like, think about where you were a few years ago and think about where you are now. Have you improved? You might be inclined, like, you know, yeah, the self-doubt part of you might be like, well, I haven't improved that much. And maybe you haven't. I don't improve that much, like, in a span of a month or two, like, but I can look at, like, where I was a few months ago and be like, okay, maybe I haven't climbed Mount Everest, but I have learned this, I've done this, right? And you are improving because you're doing, right? You're doing, you know? And eventually the better that you get, right? As we get better, we want to do it more. We feel more safe to do more, right? Because it's like, you're not sitting down in frustration because you don't know what to do. Like, you're sitting, like, for me, like, sitting in front of my piano, facing the computer screen with, like, a project open in Cubase, right, which is the software that I use, and like, not knowing what to do, right? Like, the more that I sit down and I learn more about the program, and I learn more about, like, the process of composing music and producing music and playing the piano and all this stuff, like, the more confidence it gives for me to do more. And when I can't do any more because I'm so fed up of it, like, I can do something else that I also love, right? You know, just because you have a path to mastery does not mean, like, you have no other interests, right? I, for one, advocate having a lot of interests, right? Because the one thing that I dislike is wishy-washiness, in the sense of doing stuff that you don't really like, right? That you just put up with because either you don't have anything better going on, or, like, peer pressure, you know, that kind of thing, right? That's the one thing I can sometimes put up with it. It depends, right? You know, but, like, generally speaking, I hate wasting my time doing either, right? I did another entry about this. I forget the title of it. I think it was it was that kind of slew of entries I did about balance, right? And kind of, like, getting out of that middle, like, muddy, like, wishy-washy thing where you're doing half of each, and you're not quite healthy, and you're not quite fulfilled, but you're not quite productive. It's like, it's terrible, right? What you want to do is either do something that is going to be really productive, or do something that you really enjoy, right? When you do recreational stuff, do stuff that you actually enjoy. And a funny thing happens, like, the funny thing is happening to me, where as I'm doing this, the more I can see the connection between those two things. How crazy is that? Right? In my case, like, I make music that I love. So, like, it's like, I already love that music. So it's like, oh my God, I already love this music, and I'm making it, and I'm being productive about this shit. What the fuck? Right? That's what's happening. As the more I do it, it's like, the more that I'm brave enough to be like, okay, like, I'm not necessarily gonna pick, like, the one that seems like, you know, like, I'm not going to pick doing, like, this weird etude from Bach, or like analyzing the Skrillex track, right, or whoever's the hot new producer these days, right, to be hip and modern, right, or like doing this really complex abstract jazz exercise. You know, nothing wrong with that, right? If it is truly productive, if it's productive, like, you know, the thing is, like, there's nothing wrong with any of that stuff, but, like, just, I have found, right, and this is a guideline, of course, right, everything I say in these entries is a guideline, but, like, is to find stuff that you really like, and for recreation, and then for the productive stuff, do stuff that is actually going to yield results for you, right, and eventually, if you do it right, because the thing is, what's the goal? You're trying to eliminate all this fucking, like, distractions and shit distractions, basically, from your life, to do stuff that you actually enjoy. Like, you know, the emphasis is what you actually enjoy, right? And it could be anything, but you have to be brave enough to own it, right? And that's a journey, right? Anyway, so yeah, going back to what I was saying, you will make it. Just keep going, you know. Keep going. You will do it. And what you make will not only fill you with joy and, like, and fulfillment that you could never thought you could actually feel. It's like, I made this thing, and this is a piece of my soul. You know, it's so healing, it's so nourishing, you know, if it's food, right? It's so, it contributes so much to people's lives if it's a business or some kind of a consultation thing, right? And you make that thing, and you will know fulfillment. You will know fulfillment. And you will remember. You won't need some rando to tell you, right? You will remember why you're on this path. It's because it's a path of love. Yes, the same kind of love that makes you go, oh, yes. I love you. You know, it'll make you cry. It'll fill your eyes with tears of joy because it's just so important to you. You love it so much. And that's why you're on this journey. Yes, we want to succeed. Yes, we want to be practical, and we want to teach other people, and we want to mentor other people, and we want to get mentored in turn. It's like, yes, all of this practical stuff. You have to deal with it. You have to learn how to make your craft. You have to learn how to do business. You have to learn how to deal with people. You have to learn a great number of things. You have to be adaptable, right? You have to be flexible. You have to do many things, right? You have to be organized, many things. But why are you on this path? You already know the answer to that. It's because you love what you do. Even if it's not, even if the career prospect hasn't arisen yet, you do it because you love it, because it fills your heart with warmth, and it makes your hair follicles stand on end, and it wets your eyes. That is love, and that's why you're here. That's why I'm here, right? And when people, loved ones, friends, people, other people, right? When they turn to you and they say, I'm not sure about this, or maybe you should reconsider, or have a look at this, it's a job that is in music, or that is in whatever it is that you care about, right? When they come to you and they offer you stuff, and they talk to you and they fill your head with like these generic ideas, or they dissuade you, they do not have love on their minds. What do they have? What's the opposite of love? Fear. They are fearful. Is it their fault that they're fearful? No. At least not consciously. Like, again, like, there's a side of us that, like, being on this journey for so long, you kind of want to scream at people like that, being like, just, like, I know that the sensible thing to do is to get a job and to stop faffing around by myself. I know. I know that, the sensible thing to do would not be to gamble my life away on something that isn't going to promise me a secure future. I know that. And I know you're trying, I know you're just trying to be sensible and be caring towards me. And I know. But what is the energy? Fear. Fear that you're going to lose your way. Fear that you're going to surpass them and prove them wrong and leave them. Fear that what they know about life is wrong. Fear that they have been neglecting their own soul that has been telling them all along to do what they love. Whatever it is, whatever the reason, what is the energy? It is fear. And what are you championing on this path? Whatever it is that you're doing, it could be music, it could be business, it could be sports, it could be whatever, right? Whatever you love. Why do you do it? Why is it that you have no choice but to do it? You think you have a choice? You think you have a choice that you love what you love? You think I have a choice that I love music and games and spirituality and all of that like hippie shit? Not hippie stuff, but like fairy tale, like kind of like slightly childish stuff, some people might say, right? Like overly like naive and innocent and that kind of thing, right? Not gritty and realistic enough, right? Too fantastical, right? You think I have a choice? You know? You think that I, as someone who went through the traditional education system, right, and graduated from a decent university, top 5, I'm told, right, at the time anyway, right, in like a you know, a very academic field, right, discipline, right, chemistry, right, I graduated in chemistry, and I actually got onto a graduate scheme that paid a decent amount, right, and I've been in many other jobs, right. You think that someone like that, to go with all of that shit and quit it, do you think that I have a choice liking what I like, right? When faced between those two things? Of course I don't, and I'm sure you don't either. You are blessed and cursed with a heart that just cannot stop loving what it loves. To just stop loving, right? And so you, my friend, and I, and everyone else who is on the heart-centered path, we are on it for love. And so what we do is we listen to these people. We may not listen, right? But like, we take what they say and we understand what they're really saying, which is, I'm afraid, right? And do we criticize them for it? Do we point out to them that you have a problem because you are fearful? You are fearful and you are not loving, and that is a problem of yours, right? Do we do that? No. No. We might do it to us, like we might do it in our heads, right? Because again, we get stressed, and people saying this shit to us, and we're like, sometimes we're like, you're just fearful. You're just not brave enough to do what I'm doing, right? We have that voice. We do. But what can we do with our love that can move forwards in such a situation, a seeming impasse? Because maybe if we left them to their devices, whoever it might be, loved ones, family, friends, society, that they will just continue to live this fearful life and rationalize it as playing it safe, right? Feel the love that you feel towards your craft or your pursuit or your hobby. Feel it. Imagine yourself, close your eyes and imagine yourself doing that thing, doing it, creating, feeling, you know. If you're an artist, the brush strokes and the color choices and the feminine form or the masculine form that you paint, or the still life, or like the impressionism, or whatever it might be, right? It might, this is like fine arts, right? But like, you know, the illustrations that you do, the graphics design that you do, the motion graphics that you do, right? And watch it, and watch yourself and feel what it feels inside of you to do those things. If you're doing a business, like when you receive feedback from people, and it's like, you helped me so much, and you inspire me so much to be a better version of myself. How does that make you feel? That is what you want others to feel. That is what you want others to feel. And so that is why you do your art. And that is ultimately, I say the only way to, like, it is the only way that anything's ever going to work. The only way that is ever going to persuade other people that what you're doing is a great thing is to let them feel what you feel, right? So you do your art and you let the love fill your heart when you do it, or your business or whatever, right? And then when other people like turn to you and they say to you, I'm not sure about this, maybe you should reconsider. You say thank you. You don't have to say thank you. You might be like, okay, I guess. Yeah, right. And then you redirect your focus, right? And I think I'm going to split this in two, right? Because, yeah, it's going to be the same thing, right? But like, yeah, next week I'm going to continue this. I'm tempted to just do one giant entry, but yeah, it's too long. So, yeah, like, yeah, you know, this is what you do, right? Excuse me, you listen to them. Let it anger you, because it does. Like, I sound like such a pretentious asshole, right? Just the way I talk sometimes, right? I'm trying to be inspiring and all this stuff, but like, you know, it's like, you know, like family and friends and loved ones, you know, occasionally they message me and they're like, "Are you still doing the thing?" And like, they might be like, they might give me a suggestion, they might say like, "Let's hang out" or something like that, right? And, you know, and I'm like, you know, yeah, you know, I kind of, I'm doing my thing, right? And they're like, "Really?" You know, and you can see that they're just disappointed, you can see that they're worried about you, and it's like, yeah, they just don't have enough as much faith in you, and that's not it is a judgment, but like the way that you, as someone who champions love, right, the way that you move forwards for yourself, right, because like you might be thinking that like these people are going to eventually take you down if you have them in your life, and maybe the best thing is to get them out of your life altogether if they're going to be negative about it. Yeah, it's not their fault, you know, yeah, but like I'm on my path, and like, you know, it's like, yes, let's be honest, right, I'm pretty much alone. I booted a lot of the people in my life out of my life because I wanted like to be by myself so I can do my own thing and focus on what's important to me, right? But like, you can't do that with necessarily everyone, right? And so like, and eventually, what are you going to do? Like, let's say that you do succeed, right? And you do, like, do this thing, like, what about the people that have been in your life? Are you never going to speak to them again? What if you cross paths with them? Like, is it going to be awkward now? You know? And what about other people that you meet along the way that may not necessarily be, like, you know, your soulmate or your soul tribe, you know, that kind of thing? What are you going to do about that? You know, like, and yeah, like, and the thing is, right, obviously, you know, I don't have to say this to you, you already know this, but like, people aren't always compatible. You know, you will meet, the vast majority of people that you meet aren't going to be compatible with you. They're not going to resonate with you that deeply. But, you're, like, what you do, where if you put love into it, right? If you choose the side of the craft, right? Because the thing is, we have to separate craft and vehicle, let's just say, from actual passion, right? So if you actually inject passion, the feelings of like wanting to help people and wanting to inspire people and wanting to move people, if you inject those feelings into what you make, they'll at least be able to be like, they will feel it. You didn't have to persuade them. You didn't have to point it out to them that you are fearful, my friend. You know? You just don't have enough faith. That's your problem. It's nothing to do with me. It's like, this, you don't have to have that conversation. You just make what you make. Right? And automatically, via osmosis, they will feel it. And they will finally understand what you were doing all this time. They might not subscribe to it any deeper than that. They might just be like, oh, that was nice, okay. Back to my fucking, you know, like, like, you know, life of, you know, like, you know, whatever, right? Normal life, right? But like, at that point, I guess, I don't know if it's the same, but your art will speak for you, on your behalf, right? Or whatever it might be. I say art because I am an artist, right? But like, if you're a business person, or anything like that, then like, you know, or like someone in some kind of field where you're providing service or you're performing, right? You know, your art will speak for you, on your behalf. AKA the love. It's about the love. Why do I always, you know, why do I always talk about love and fear? That's all that matters at the end of the day. Do you feel love in your heart? You know, and yes, like, it's doing certain things tends to feel, you know, you like your hobbies and, you know, that kind of thing, right? But like, but don't but like it's easy to kind of forget the love, right? So I'm hoping that like this entry, again, like, yeah, I guess like it's just the way I talk, right? I can kind of like, you know, I'm not very down to earth. I feel like I can be, but like I'm not super down to earth. Like I can talk a bit like pompously sometimes, but like I hope nevertheless that like, you know, that my message was clear, and that is to keep doing what you love. Keep doing it. You know, I'm doing it, and you can do it too. Start small. You know, when you fall, get back up. Start small again. You know, when you're doubtful, let the doubt consume you, and then take a break as long as you need. As long as you need. There's no rush. You know, there may be, but like, what really, you know, in my life, right? What is really like pressing? Pretty much money. And occasionally like stuff happens, but like I live such a, at the moment, I have like kind of like streamlined my current lifestyle and frugalized it to such an extent that like I only deal with like certain things. Like, and those things are money, food, you know, and you know, that's pretty much it. And then the rest I dedicate to my art and my message. Right. And you will sometimes have to deal with those things, but when you are making your art, when you are doing what you are passionate about, feel the passion, feel the love. And when other people step up to you and they offer their advice, their concerns, and it frustrates you, and it will frustrate you, as it frustrated me, right? It frustrates me all the time. But what I say to myself is, well, I just tap into my love once more, and I feel it, and when I feel it, I feel inspired to make my art, and I make my art, and my art speaks for me on my behalf. So, yeah. So on that note, I hope you will keep going. Please keep going. Your art is valuable. Your art is, I say art, again, I mean everything. Anything you might be doing. Art, business. If it's a labor of love, then it's probably an art, right? Your art will heal. Your art will contribute. Your art will solve problems. Your art will ease people's suffering. So keep going. Find the people who truly resonate with what you're making. Find those people and let them empower you to keep making that art. And then maybe the people that you didn't resonate with, they will turn their heads and finally see what you were doing after all along, which is love. You know, sometimes we want to just tell people about what the heart's journey is, but we can't necessarily tell them, because the heart's journey is not a telling thing. It's a feeling thing. It's a loving thing. So with that, I hope you will keep going. Keep going, keep making your art. You will make it. So cool. Next week, I will, you know, attach something like, yeah, like, I guess it's kind of like the more pragmatic side of things. It's not going to be very long. Like, I wasn't very, you know, as usual, like, you know, I wasn't very sure of the kind of order that I was going to do these entries in, because I knew I had a lot to talk about, right? Like, it's been a while since I've done entries, and I had like a stack of ideas. Yeah, I was wondering how I was going to fit them in these vlogs, but anyway. So cool, like, yeah, I think next entry I'm going to turn it off, but anyway, thank you for watching as usual. If you have a comment, please comment. I welcome anything you might have to say, and yeah, and if you're not already subscribed, subscribe to help me out, like, for more of this, you know. It's just nice to know that people are watching my videos, you know, even though I primarily do them just to express myself, but so cool. Until next time, guys, keep going. keep making art, keep loving, and eventually things, they will happen. So cool. Peace out, guys. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.